This is the Knicks getting both Drew and Giannis, which they have reportedly wanted, right? This is the Knicks.
Wow.
Which players on the team are okay to trade, which players are not okay to trade, and which players are basically untouchable.
Yeah.
And I think you have a mysterious fourth tier somewhere.
I do have
Somewhere in that you'll unleash. So I'll give it to you.
Now, would you do that? Would you do Shea for Trey Murphy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would too. Would you attach a pick to it?
Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Blazers Are Cool show. I am Jethro, and I'm here with Brad, a slightly sick Brad, but he's powering through for this podcast.
Doing everything I can for our viewers who dedicate so much time to us.
Yeah, we need to. Through sickness and through health, we are here for you guys for the Blazer takes. Today, we're going to talk a lot about the trade deadline, how it relates to the Blazers, who we're willing to give up, who we're going to say are untouchables. We'll go through the names being rumored around the NBA and talk about if any of them fit on the Blazers, including probably Giannis, even though we have hashed that out before. And then I've put together some mock trades that Brad has not seen yet that we will and you guys haven't seen it yet either, that we'll showcase for everyone at the end of the show. So stay tuned.
You almost showed me one and then screamed at me not to look.
You cannot see it. It's going to break your mind.
Yeah.
But before we get into all that, we need to talk about the current state of the Blazers because we lost a bad one last night to the Wizards. It was
to the Wizards.
Lost by 5, and it came off the backs of the Celtics loss, which was also really difficult to watch, which also came off of the backs, not quite a little further away, but the Raptors loss, which both of them were really ugly first quarter performances that we just never really got over the hump in, especially the Celtics one. The Raptors one, we actually took the lead, but Brad, what are your takeaways from these last 3 losses? I know we haven't met since the Heat win as well, which was a great performance, but I feel like these 3 losses are on the front of mind now.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing we like more, or at least I like more, than being incredibly reactive. But I didn't think these were that bad of losses. Like, even going back to the Raptors game, it was a bad first quarter where we were clearly missing Denny, but I thought we it's kind of cliche to say, but I thought we fought hard for the majority of the game. We were just clearly down our best player on the road against one of the best teams in the East. I wasn't that upset with how we played that game. And the Celtics game was kind of a similar story, I thought, where it's like another, just god-awful first quarter that after that we won the last 3 quarters. Yeah. And I thought we played really, really well. And I was really happy with how we fought, how we truly didn't, relent. And we could have won that game after one of the worst first quarters I've ever seen in my life, which to me, it was just like a team that is without their best player playing against a really good defense, trying to figure it out. And then they did figure it out and put up a good fight. And then, even last night's Wizards game, which I've seen a lot of people be very kind of panicky about. Yeah. Dude, I didn't think we played that bad. And I thought, I think something people have to realize is, I know everyone says this, but any NBA team can win on any given night. And I know the Wizards had lost 9 straight, right, going into that game.
Yeah, correct.
Is that right? Yeah, but you look at those games, it's not like they were getting completely blown out. They were a talented team that I thought played really, really, really well. Yeah. I thought they were super active. It was chaotic, but they were super active defensively. I didn't think it was as bad of a loss as people are saying. It was not a good loss. We absolutely should have, without a doubt, won that game. But we lost because we were stupid, not because we didn't, didn't have talent on the floor and because we didn't, do a lot of the right things. We just we didn't make any free throws and we had some horrible turnovers. It was the kind of stuff that, I'd rather it be things like that, which feel like outliers, even though I know those 2 things are 2 of our biggest weaknesses.
Yeah.
But I'd rather us, play well, I guess, and then mess up on the little things that are very easy to improve
Yeah.
on. And I thought, and big credit to the Wizards, who I thought played really well. It was not like they sucked and we sucked more. It was like we kind of sucked and they were okay.
Yeah, right. I feel that. Yeah, I went back this morning and I actually rewatched the game just for the turnovers. I spent
Yeah.
like over an hour this morning and I clipped all of them for the Blazers lead and then posted it. And then Giannis said that he's down to leave Milwaukee now or whatever he said. So the whole thing I put just got completely submerged by all of that. So that's what you get for putting an effort on something actually basketball analytical.
I know it sucks.
Twitter.
They need drama.
I know they just want
People, me included. I demand drama.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about a lot of drama and trade rumors.
Yeah.
But I went back and looked at it, and it was like so we had 20 turnovers last night. 3 of them were like completely like this is a terrible, awful turnover. One of them was Caleb. One of them was the one we talked about, the DC, like throwing it to Jeremy, but then Jeremy turns around. That led to a 3, and then Shaden just like dribbled it off his foot basically and got them a 3.
Yeah.
So like, if we just eliminate the 3 completely boneheaded turnovers,
It was just stupid stuff.
it was 6 points immediately from both of those, and we win the game if we just don't do that. Either that or
Yeah.
if we make 5 more free throws.
Yeah.
Then we win the game we missed 12 of them. So like it was right there. I mean, I said it from the beginning. I was like we missed like 6 free throws in the first quarter. And I think I thought our first quarter was better because we scored more, I guess, last night, and we clearly did that to push the pace. But I think that pushing the pace got us like winded on a back-to-back. It let
Agreed.
them hit a lot of 3s in the first half and get that confidence that a young team needs. So like you and I have talked about, like I think we tried to push that pace to overcorrect our first quarter struggles the past 2 games, especially on offense. And what it did was made our defense bad, made us tired, got them into the game. And so I think we shouldn't have strayed too far with what we've been doing. I think it was just really ugly first quarters without Denny on the floor that we were seeing in Toronto and Boston. And there were situations where we almost came back, but I just think like the recent play of Jeremy hasn't helped anything. I think Clingan's been like good, but I didn't think the Celtics game was very good. And when
Really? I thought he was pretty good the Celtics game.
I didn't like it too much. But
yeah. Which parts?
Like I didn't think that he was particularly good on the defensive glass in that game.
Yeah,
I thought he was getting kind of bullied around by Neemias Keita. I thought the drop coverage, they were taking advantage in the mid range, but that's kind of what you want the Celtics to do, so it wasn't that much of a problem. I don't know. I thought mostly that it was just kind of like lackluster performances from some of the guys in each game, and that's just like when your star player's out, that's what you're gonna get. Like you're not gonna have a good game if multiple of your players have bad games, and like Jeremy's been someone to point a finger at. I think Shaden didn't have a great game in the Celtics game. Oh, Shaden had a terrible game. That's right.
Yeah, the Celtics game
so
was the rough one.
when Shaden and Jeremy have terrible games and Denny's out, it's like, what are you gonna do? So,
but we're still like somewhat competitive in a road game against a great team.
Yeah.
So it's like, whatever. It's a loss is a loss. I've seen plenty of Blazers losses where I've panicked. These last few games, I feel no panic, and I'm not saying that to be overly optimistic. I thought we played hard, fought hard, and just got outplayed or were down a guy. Because like even looking at last night, I mean, Shea played great. He's like the Wizards killer. I remember at the end of last season, he had his career high 37 against them. He's so good against, and this is a compliment. I always feel like people take this as like as passive aggressive or something. He's so good against bad teams. We've always said the worse team Shea plays, the better he plays.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad thing at all. Because in must-need wins, like last night, sort of is a must-need win when you're finally hoping to take advantage of a easy schedule on paper compared to the really hard schedule we've had for most of the season. It did sort of feel at times like not a must-win, but a should-win, I guess I'll call it.
Yeah.
And he looked awesome. Like even it's not like he stood out defensively, but I think there was 2 plays the whole game where I was like, damn, like that was a bad, missed coverage or didn't go over that screen well. Like I only saw 2 defensive plays I wasn't really all that stoked about. And his scoring like single-handedly kept us in the game. And it's like the last shot was bad, but it was the kind of thing that I think it's the first game tying or game winning shot Shea's had.
That seems right. I think we
I
defer
can't
to
remember
Denny or
another
Drew
one.
or a lot of Jeremy's in the past. Is what we've had.
Exactly. So it's like, yeah, he lost his handle, which is a problem that he clearly has in general. This is, loses the ball a lot off the dribble and off catches and going up. And that happened in, a game tying shot, but he completely earned taking that shot. And I didn't like how they just kind of, gave him a lane to run at the hoop. I'd way rather see him get a screen from Donovan up top because Shea's not very great, I don't think, because of his handle going one-on-one off the dribble. But you give him a screen and he has like a little space to work, he can make something happen. So it was a bad situation for Shea where his weaknesses were shown for that last shot, but he earned it. And I think a better play should have been ran for him to get a better shot off. Tumani, I thought, continued to look awesome.
Tumani's been really good recently for
On both ends, dude. Like
Yeah.
on both ends, he's been amazing. It's been some of the best basketball I've seen from his entire career.
Yeah.
Like games that would have been great last year when he was at his peak. Donovan was really good last night. Like great defensively. Like I said, I thought he played really well against the Celtics. I think more than anything, I was happy to see him have 5 blocks.
Yeah.
Because I know blocks and steals are they're kind of stat that I think has gone, people have underplayed them so much or I guess talked about how overrated they are to the point to where I think they're underrated again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they aren't everything, but they show, especially for a guy like Donovan Clingan, like a guy who's 7'3", should be getting a lot of blocks.
Yeah.
Tall, great defenders usually get a lot of blocks. You know what I mean? Wembanyama gets a lot of blocks. Gobert gets a lot of blocks. You want to see Clingan be in that category. It shows that he's doing it's a product of showing for a guy like him that he's doing the right thing. So it's cool to see him get 5 blocks. And he set the Blazers franchise record in offensive rebounds. I want to ask you this. Did you think they were super ethical offensive rebounds?
I mean, was it the Wizards game or the Celtics game where he did that?
Wizards game.
Okay,
last night.
Okay. Yeah.
13.
Last night. Yeah, I mean, like 4 of them were on one play because he had. And so that's
I swear, like 10 of them were on like two or three plays.
That's the thing with him, and kind of his play as of late, because we've seen his highs and we've seen his lows where like the defense is bad too. I thought the defense has been better recently and the offense has been worse, and that's where you get like average what you expect Clingan. I thought he did a great job one-on-one with Sarr on the defensive end, and he had some problems with Sarr on the defensive end, but Sarr played an unbelievable defensive game as well. It's just like, that's the thing with Clingan. I think that's just encapsulate who he is like he'll get 3 or 4 offensive rebounds at the cup and he'll miss every shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, you want it to meet, you don't want him to have to get that many offensive rebounds because you would like him to just make the shot.
Yeah.
And so we're hoping that eventually his offensive rebounds can go down a little bit for his field goal percentage to go up. And it's not like a bad field goal percentage, especially if you take out the threes, which have really just not been dropping at all. But it's tough because, and that was another thing with our turnovers, is a couple of them of Denny's were just flat out passes to Clingan that just like were never going to work or hit him in the hands and bounced off. And you want to keep feeding him those, but it's like at a certain point, we're like running away with being the most turnover heavy team in the league. And it's like, when do you, and that's been a question with this team for a while, is like, where do you find the balance of competing now and doing things that will try to develop these players? And thankfully this year we've had so many injuries that we haven't even had to have that discussion. But like with Clingan, it's like, when do you stop throwing him the lobs because they're low chance opportunities versus throwing them because you want him to get better at them. So it's a
Well, I
give
think
and a
he's been
take.
really inconsistent, which is why I think it's worth, because that's a really good point in question. I think he needs to continue to be fed because he's shown to me like more than enough times that he can, finish around the rim. He can catch the ball. It's just still, it's his second year. He's 21 years old. I'm guessing he's playing a lot of minutes. It's just something he's getting used to. But in my eyes, he's shown more of enough uh, that he can do it, that he needs to continue to be fed. But we just kind of felt last night some of those growing pains, like you said, not being able to catch some passes, not really finishing that well around the rim. He finished 6 of 17 as a 7-3 guy. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah.
But he's had numerous games this season where he stretch of 10 straight games where he was shooting like 70%. So it's clearly there. It's just everything with Klingon right now is, in my eyes, him trying to find how to maximize his own abilities.
Yeah.
Because we know he can be an amazing defender. We haven't always seen that this season. But on the other end, we were seeing incredible offensive contributions from him. But then we've had games like last night where it's like we see the exact opposite, where he's struggling offensively, but I thought really dominating defensively. I thought last night was his best defensive game of the season. I thought he did, because more than anything, he was just jumping. That's always been my thing with DC is like, dude, if he seems to rely too much a little bit on just being humongous, which is enough for him to be solid defensively. But if he just jumps like he was doing last night on it, he's one of the best defenders in the NBA.
Yeah.
And you saw that all of last night. I thought he did a really good job then. And like I said, I thought he did great against the Celtics, though we disagree on that.
I don't stand too firmly on that, but I will
But I see what you're saying. Everything you said was spot on. I think it was more just, I liked the positives. I don't disagree with any of the negatives that you pointed out, but I just really, really like some of the positives.
Yeah. Him and drop coverage has been kind of just a problem all year in general, but it's just something we kind of have to live with because he's really, really good at doing drop coverage. You're just looking at mid-range shots. One final thing I want to say before we should probably move on is that I thought that was by far Young Hansen's best game of his career. I thought he looked like a true role player, a true solid backup center. I thought the defense was great. He played straight up. He fouled. Yeah. He had one foul that I thought it was a foul. Call. Yeah, it was a foul. He was jumping.
He was very upset about it.
I know. He was A to B, jumping from A to B, but it was one that like basically everyone would commit, I think, in that situation. Otherwise, he was straight up and he created some actual, like, people missed. His field goals didn't really go in for the most part. He was 2 for 6, 0 of 1 from 3, but I thought they were good looks that when he gets a little more confident, like those are the touch shots from the mid-range that I think he'll be able to put in. His only turnover was he passed Tumani open and Tumani wasn't ready for it, and it was a little too high level for the moment, I guess, but is how I'll phrase that. But I thought he played great. I thought it was a great sign of improvement, and I know it's the Wizards and the Wizards backups, but it's progress, and I actually felt like I could see him repeating that moving forward. So he also looks like thinner and a little quicker to me. Like,
that's what I like.
Fitting it, yeah.
Yeah, it didn't feel like you're watching a guy who didn't belong in the NBA.
Yeah.
And I mean that like physically in the way you move. I think for some reason, because, I watched I listened to the second half of the game on the radio, which, by the way, shout out to Travis Demers, who is, dude, he is incredible. I mean, I was having like, because, I like to watch the games, and, I listen to a lot. Every chance I get, I listen to him on the radio because I think he's incredible and fantastic. But when you're actually, because I had like an hour drive home, so I listened to basically the entire second half on the radio, and it was electric. You would never have thought it was a back-to-back on the road against the Wizards. I was like as locked in as I've ever been, and he's easily one of the best in the business, as they say. So big shout out to Travis. But you told me Hansen and I was seeing online that everyone's like, oh, it was Hansen's best game. So when I rewatched the game later, I don't know if I had too high of expectations. Like I was expecting like a 30-20 type of game from him, but I thought he was okay. I mean, I don't know. Like he physically looked like he belonged so much more, and he had that amazing
He had the pass to
footwork
Caleb.
post jump hook.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, he had that nice pass to Caleb. Is that what you
He had the
said?
pass to Caleb that Caleb
Yeah,
smoked the layup. Yeah.
that's right. That's right. But I don't know. He really struggled rebounding wise, which is still really confusing. Watching him try to go after loose balls and rebounds is kind of frustrating. He was defensively solid and okay. He moved well. He still shot 2 of 6 from the field. It's just that I would like these best Hansen games of his career games to not be, 2 of 6 from the field with a few rebounds against. Actually, I guess he had 5 rebounds last night against the Wizards backups. I
Yeah.
would just like. I'd like to still see like a tiny bit more,
Well,
but it was
yeah.
enough to me that I'm like more and more okay with giving him more minutes.
Yeah.
I'd say that.
I mean, like, it's kind of the Shane thing, I guess. It's like he's performed better against a bad team, and before
Yeah.
it had been he was terrible for 90% of when he's in, and he had a minute flash. I thought it was a consistently like start to finish. He had a plus 11 last night. He was the best on the team. Klingen at a minus 17. I know
Yeah, but I think that's mostly because he was playing against a Sarless Wizards,
I also think it was because he was playing with Rupert, who was playing
who was
awesome.
just awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was awesome.
Take it for what you will. It's one game, and yeah, it wasn't anything incredible, but it's like the performance he had was great for his standards, and I thought fine to solid for an NBA player in that position.
Sure.
And it's just like we haven't seen that before. So I think
Absolutely.
it's progress. I just want to note it because I was thoroughly impressed, and I think when he's a team high plus 11 in a game we lose by
something.
5, it should be noted.
Can I say one more thing I thought was interesting about last night's game?
Yeah.
What I thought was kind of weird, I guess, or interesting about the game, though, was like how little Denny was involved offensively.
Yeah.
Like I felt like we saw Drew kind of completely lead the show, especially in the fourth quarter, to some just awful results.
Yeah.
And, we love Drew, but that was a rough fourth quarter from him. We didn't really see Denny bring up the ball nearly as much. We saw Drew, like I said, kind of man the show, and it sort of lost us the game.
Yeah.
Because Drew went 2 of 14. That's why last night's game wasn't that much of a panic to me, because it's like if you take out Drew, like we win that, or not take out Drew, but if he has like an okay game, we win that game easily.
Yeah.
But it was strange. I wonder if it was a kind of injury restriction type of thing for Denny, because
Yeah.
he was like not the primary ball handler. He was not the primary guy in the fourth, and I think that's one of the main reasons we lost.
Yeah, I think I agree. Again, rough one from Drew and Jeremy. I honestly feel like their age showed, like a back-to-back East Coast road trip. Cold. We got in at 4 a.m. They were saying, like, they literally just did not have it, and I think part of the reason is their injuries. But yeah, I think that was the case with Denny. I think that was the case with Denny with his back. He was being gingerly, and he wasn't really in game shape. Drew and Jeremy weren't all there. I think that's why you saw Shaden be the one to close it down the stretch and be the one with the freshest legs, because he's young and he was ready for the moment. And so
yeah,
a couple of Shaden shots, I still like, even given all of that and that grit, Shaden had the blue light in that moment. I still
blue
think
light.
Yeah, blue light. Better blue, greener than green. Blue light.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's sick.
You never heard that before?
I've never heard that.
No, yeah,
I was like, "Are you losing? Are you colorblind?"
It's red, yellow, and blue,
orange
right?
light. When you go, it's the blue light.
Yeah, there's still some shots I thought that were ill-advised, but he had 31 and no one else did much of anything down the stretch, so he did earn.
Can't complain.
All right, let's talk about some trades. Let's talk about the trade deadline, because it's coming up on February 5th. I think it's a week from tomorrow, if I have that right. Yeah. And the Blazers are a weird team, and a lot of people have said that, because the Blazers are in a position where they have all of this Bucks draft capital that puts them in the center of everything going on, because Giannis is the nucleus of this entire trade deadline, and that news starts to get bigger and bigger as time has gone on, including today, notably when he said that when the Bucks. I think the report is that the Bucks are seemingly open to listening to offers now, so people are putting their best foot forward. In the other regard, since we have like our all-star Denny on such a good contract, we have a bunch of young players and old players. We have low salaries. We have, young guys with potentials. We also have older guys who can win now with high salaries. We have everything going on. We have Dame in waiting. When no one knows what he's gonna look like. We have all this stuff going on. We could go a million different directions. So I think you and I agree that the first thing we should do is just lay out which players on the team are okay to trade, which players are not okay to trade, and which players are basically untouchable. And I think you have a mysterious fourth tier somewhere.
I do have
somewhere in that you'll unleash. So I'll give it to you. How do you want to go about letting the viewers know our thoughts on this?
Well, my tier list is basically untradeable. Wouldn't want to, but isn't quite untradeable.
Okay.
And then the mysterious. You're right. I don't know how I would describe this mysterious fourth tier. It's technically my third tier. I think it's a mysterious because then the fourth tier would be I'm fine trading him. I'd understand if we trade him.
Yeah.
The one above that, it's like I wouldn't necessarily want to, but I think it gives us our most options in the trade market.
Okay.
I guess it'd be my long-winded. Because let's start at the top. So
yeah, so let's start with the untouchables.
To me, the only true untouchable on this team is Denny.
I agree. Yeah.
And when I say I mean like that doesn't mean I want to trade, Tumani for anything, but it means like if there was a Giannis trade on the table. In my eyes, the only guy who should be completely, without a doubt, unquestionably off the table is Denny. And the reason for that is because I don't think any trade that we would get makes any sense or sets us for the future in any positive way if whoever we're getting is not playing with Denny.
Yeah.
Denny's truly the centerpiece. And if you trade him, I no longer think we have an identity or a team that makes sense involving other guys who are not currently on the team.
Yeah, it feels lateral to me because if we trade,
it feels lateral.
Because if we trade Denny and the salaries that would be needed to do that, so like Denny and Jeremy, even if it's just flat out Denny and Jeremy for Giannis, like there's so many kind of stipulations that happen with Giannis, and then you're getting rid of your all-star level player, and then it feels too lateral. So I agree. I think Denny's the only untouchable, but
it feels like we're trading to become the current Bucks.
Yeah, exactly. Or the Bucks of like last year. Or just being the Bucks that didn't work out and get lost to the Pacers twice. So, yes, I think I agree with you there. Can I say who I think who are in the next tier?
Yeah, you got it.
I think and this is the basically untouchable, but not totally untouchable.
Exactly.
Like, don't want them to leave at all tier.
Yeah.
Which I think is just clinging into Monty.
I agree. That's my tier as well. Yep, I 100% agree.
And I would say that because with those two, the defensive impact is almost super necessary for anyone we bring in to be around. I don't think defense first guys are really fly off the shelves on the trade market right now at all. So for us, those are the guys that we need to keep because anyone you would bring in would basically they fit next to anyone you bring in basically.
Yeah.
Whether it's like a cat power forward, you can play with Klingon, or if it's a Giannis, you can play with Klingon. Tumani, a coveted 3 might be a stretch. We're still working on the 3 part.
Working on the 3, but D.
The D is there. It's in Tiago's box.
Yeah.
And
Ronnie's D is in Tiago's box.
Yeah. So those two are role players, and with Klingon's ceiling, we think is so high that we need to see it actualized. So I think it would go Denny, untouchable, Klingon and Tumani, nearly untouchable, but not completely, and then we've got the rest of the team.
Yeah. So it's like there's a world where there's not many worlds, but there is technically a world where I would give up Tumani and Donovan.
Sure.
It's just if you're doing the um Doctor Strange thing, in the
Yeah.
Avengers where he's seeing all the possibilities and
There's
he's
the
like, there's
one
one.
timeline.
There's one. Yeah, there's like for
The only timeline would be if it was to save the world.
exactly.
The
Yeah, yeah,
world is
yeah.
gonna
That's
go
kind of what
down
it's like.
unless we trade Tumani to the Knicks. It's like,
Yeah, exactly.
fine. I
But
guess there won't be a title to win if we don't do that.
yes. But like for example, I would do like if the Bucks called and were like, we want Tumani, Klingon, and Jeremy, I think those would match up. I would say yes. I really would. I would say yes to that trade. We can talk about that a little bit more later.
Sure.
The next mysterious tier uh, to me, there's also two guys in it, and I'm going to build up anticipation for those two guys, but I think it'll be obvious by the end of my spiel. And the reason for this tier is it's not that I want to trade these guys, but I think they are on paper. If we were to make a big move, these two guys would be the ones who would have to be involved to make it work talent and potential wise. And that's Shea and Scoot. To me, I don't want to see them go, but if you're trading for a top level player or even an all-star level player, even a like bordering all-star level player, you need to give up young talent in order to do that.
Yeah.
And the talent that I would be personally, it wouldn't be easy, but I would be at the end of the day completely fine with giving up in order to get a guy like, actually, I don't want to spoil who, but would be Shea and Scoot. Because as much as we love them, as much as we want to see their potential unravel on this team, you have to make a risk if you're trading for a good, established all-star level guy. And those are the guys who would have to be involved in those trades.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. So does that, and like just to build off that, I mean, Scoot's a weird one because his value is like just so low right now. It's like, I think it makes me uncomfortable to trade him. It makes me uncomfortable to trade him because it feels like he hasn't really gotten that chance, and it just sucks that that this season wasn't that opportunity. He's a little different because I feel like we do have a lot of guards, like bringing in Dame again and having Drew. It's like we have point guards and who can play that, so it feels like maybe we have one too many. But is that Scoot we need to get rid of? I don't know. And then Shaden's different because it feels like his value is going up and up and up, and someone could capitalize on that. His value on the trade market doesn't have too much of a ceiling. It just depends on who you talk to and how you portray Shaden, because I think he knows some things that Shaden struggles with, but you see this things offensively that he does, and it's like he could go for a lot. So though they definitely should be like on the table if something good comes along, but yes, it's they're valued players in this franchise for sure.
There's just no such thing as making a trade for a great player that doesn't involve some hurt.
Yeah, definitely.
And they would be the hurt.
Yeah, for sure. So does that put everyone else in like they should be up on the chopping block basically?
Yeah, it's ones that I would be like, I would completely understand being traded. And even if I wouldn't, like, I don't want to see Drew go. I don't want to see Rob go. I don't want to see Jeremy go, but they're the ones that's like, well, if we make a move, they're the guys who kind of have to.
Yeah. Someone's got to be in the trade, right?
Exactly.
Like you can't not trade anyone. So I think that makes sense. I think that's a good way to tier it out. And again, like the people who are not in the tier are the 5 core guys. I mean, those 5 players are the players everyone wanted to start this season. It's the team we thought we've built around. It's the team this franchise has invested heavily in. That's the core of the Blazers. And then, obviously Dame has a no trade clause and he's not going anywhere, but so I guess he's also untouchable by a technicality. All right, so now that we've established the trade parameters of the Blazers, I think let's go through the targets that you have in mind. These are players who have been talked about in trade rumors, who are seemingly available from other teams, and we'll just kind of go through whether or not we think they fit with the Blazers and whether we should make some sort of deal with them. Because in reality, any deal for any player can be a good deal.
Yeah.
In theory, it just depends on what you give up, right? So, Let's. Who do you have first on this mysterious list?
This mysterious list I got. Well, I think we should just almost get out of the way. So we got to talk about Giannis just really quickly. I know we've
Sure.
had videos where we've talked about this. People kind of know already our take, but
Yeah.
as of today, if I was like, Jethro, do you want to trade for Giannis? What would you say? Is that a yes or a no?
It would be a yes if you said like what. Let me clarify my Giannis stance, which is that I don't think that with this team throwing every single thing that you have at him in order to get him and beat out everyone else is necessarily the right move. But would I like Giannis to add Giannis to this team for a reasonable price? Yes, but not as adamantly as you or others.
Yeah, see, I would do it for a completely unreasonable price.
Yes,
I would.
that's where I don't feel.
If they called and were like, "We want every single pick," and then everyone but Denny, I'd be like, "Yeah, sure, of course, no doubt." Because I want to. I mean, we're talking about Giannis.
Yeah.
We're talking about, in my eyes, I think you can. If someone told me Giannis was the fifth best basketball player of all time, this is gonna sound insane to people, but I would be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Because once you get outside the tier of LeBron, Jordan, in my eyes, Shaq, and then who else am I missing? Dude, it might be like after that, I think you can make an argument for like 12 different guys. That includes Giannis, Curry, those types of guys. I think he's that impactful, especially, I mean,
Sure.
because and I'm not talking just like purely career accomplishments, but I mean like on paper. I always like to think of like the best players of all time, not on. I feel like people see it more as who's the most accomplished player. I like seeing it as like if I'm picking a guy at their best for one season, who am I picking?
Yeah.
And you can't convince me that the 30-point, 12 rebound, 6 assists, defensive player of the year, finals MVP, NBA MVP Giannis would not be worth. I would restart the team with him and Denny in a heartbeat. I think he is that level of he would immediately be the greatest Blazer of all time. Immediately.
If you can,
one game played, he'd be the greatest Blazer to ever play on this team.
Yeah, if you could like guarantee, like, because you're assuming here's if you can guarantee that he'll give you that extension, and he's like committed, and it's him and Denny, and we have like enough role players to where we're not just like completely scrapping for parts, then yeah, I can see giving up the house for him. But I don't know if I see all that. But maybe Drew and Dame will convince him to be there. But so I think I do you want to go through like a package you would do for Giannis, or you're just
I can
saying,
give it because I already have it in my head. I assume it would be something like Jeremy, Shaden, Scoot, and Hansen. I would, for some reason, assume they would want just as many of our young, high potential guys as possible.
Yeah.
And then all of their picks back, and then I'm assuming like 2 of our picks. And that would be a haul.
That'd be a haul.
And I would be, that means we would have a lineup of Drew, 2, Denny, Giannis, and Klingon. And I think one of the arguments that, you and a lot of other people are making is that we'd still be a terrible shooting team.
Yeah.
But it's like we're a terrible shooting team right now. Would you rather be a terrible shooting team as we are, or a terrible shooting team with Giannis on it? He's like, I would take the terrible shooting team with Giannis and Denny more so than the one with just Denny.
Yeah. It's like that team, Dame, and then like you're getting like 12 to 15 minutes a night from Caleb Rubes. So, yeah, I mean, and I believe in those guys for, I don't know.
I do too.
For how long.
And and we'd have them for all of next year too. We would still have I think
Rob,
the draft,
Matisse, Blake. Yeah.
Yeah. And we'd still have the opportunity to make some, like, you can't tell me we wouldn't be able to get a shooter in the offseason.
Yeah, well, that's what we,
I guess, by trade or by free agency. If we have Denny, Giannis, Drew, and Dame playing together, and of course we'd be getting Dame, the second greatest shooter of all time, coming back.
Yeah,
it is perfect. It is perfect. I would do anything for that to happen.
Yeah. Well, We'll see. We will see how it unfolds in the next coming week.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna go past the trade deadline. That would be in the Bucks' best interest, but um, I do think I do think that getting in on the Giannis deal would be better for us than because to me the worst case scenario that happens is that the Bucks find some other trade partner for Giannis, like say the Hawks, and like they give him a bunch of like good young players like Zachary Ricochet and like good picks, and the Bucks get like the second pick in the draft with their own, or like we'll call it like the fifth pick in the draft with their own stuff, whatever, however it works. They get a really good pick in this upcoming draft. They
Sure.
hit on a star. They all of a sudden have these young guys. They have these good players, and then we did nothing with the picks. And then in 2028, the Bucks are like good again,
Yeah.
and those picks mean nothing, and we don't have Giannis. Like that to me is the worst case scenario of how this all plays out, and I would like to make sure that we avoid that. So like if Cronin can get win somehow, that the Giannis trade is happening to a team like that, a team that is going to set Milwaukee up pretty decently for the future, then I do think butting in and trying to one up that offer or try to get in to grab something and hedge a little bit of those Bucks picks for another player, I think is the right move. If the Bucks,
Yeah.
I mean, those picks are only so valuable if Giannis leaves like next year for nothing. Then they're like
Hmm.
as pristine as everyone thinks. But I'm a lot lower on what the value of those picks are right now because this is all crumbling in front of our eyes than I
Yeah.
think most people are. I think most people think those are the most valuable assets in the whole league, and they're pretty close, but like a 2030 swap with the Bucks at this point, that's 4 years away. Like I
Hmm.
think the Bucks are going to be able to figure something out by then. So that's how I feel about it. Should we go through some of the other players you have?
Yeah. Next up, Cat Carl Anthony Towns, the guy who I think is more on the table than I think people would think, given that we would be, these are again, a lot of these are situations where we're the third team in a Bucks to the Knicks trade
Yeah.
because they most likely will need a third team in order to make something work.
Not
And
even in that case with Cat though, because I think his value is starting to dip a little bit, and we had
mhm.
heard the Drew rumor come around. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a pin in that one for you. We'll get to that later.
Okay, cool.
And let's I say we move on to another one.
OG.
OG, I also love. Let's put a pin
I
in
do
that.
too.
Let's put a pin in that one. We'll revisit the Bucks Knicks us trade later on. I've got some graphics and precise mock trades of how those
So
will
no
look.
no Bridges. I can't bring up Bridges. We're pinning that one.
You can bring up Bridges. He is not involved in the ones that I have later.
Nice. Very cool. Do you would you trade for Bridges? I'm kind of split on this one.
Here's a question I have for you.
Nice. Ooh, a question with a
A
question.
question with a question.
Nice.
Um, how much does swapping Shaden for Bridges improve our team?
Dude, it does improve it. I think. I think it like unequivocally improves it. That's where it gets complicated. I think I would if I had to attach a pick to it, no. If I would do Shaden's for Bridges, um Bridges is 29 now, which is
Yeah,
not old at all. But I think he's like the level of player that Jeremy was 2 years ago.
yeah,
And we already have Jeremy. I would probably say no to that, even though I do like Bridges. I think he's a really good player. I just, if we're trading Shaden, I would want it to either be for an established star or a better player who's more around Denny's age, who more fits the Denny timeline.
sure.
Um, and it's how I kind of feel about but the other thing, and this is how I feel about the picks as well, is we were to put the Bucks picks in that awesome tier list that we made earlier. I think I would put them with the Shane Scoot category.
Yeah,
Um, because my issue with the picks is less how valuable I think they're going to be, and it's more how much are we going to prioritize maximizing Dame and Drew's time here.
sure.
Because if we keep those picks, to me, that's saying it kind of goes back to the same problem we had with Dame on draft night when we got Scoot, when we were supposedly trying to get Macau. Supposedly trying to get OG. In that if we don't trade those picks, it feels like we're not serious about having a contending team while Drew and Dame are here. And that is a risk. It's why Scoot's injury, it's to me the most frustrating part of Scoot's injury is that we don't know still if Scoot is the guy going forward. So we don't know how much we should maximize Dame and Drew's time here.
Yeah.
Which that's to me why the trades or the picks, trading the picks is really a tough decision to make. Not because I don't think they're going to be valuable. I think they are. But if we don't trade them, then I feel like we're just accepting that we're not going to be a contending team while Dame and Drew are here, which is like, then why do we have them?
Yeah, it's where we're really definitely playing like a 2 timeline thing, but we're playing it in a way of like there's a timeline, not like 2 timelines at once, but like a timeline now and a timeline later, and I think that's ultimately a good thing. But it's like we can't, 2028's too far away to like sell off stuff to add more to that. I don't know. It is that's again why we kind of laid out. It's like a very weird dynamic where we have like a ton of assets in the future and a ton of young guys now, but also old guys now, and then old guys who might get worse later. So it's weird. But yeah, I think it's an interesting answer between the Shade and Mikal Bridges thing, because I think yes he does, but I think I agree with you that like how much longer is Mikal Bridges making us better? I don't know. And then it's like the price point thing we talked about. Like Mikal's gonna be, I think about like 60% more expensive than Shaden.
Yeah,
he is like once Shaden's contract hits later as well. So, yeah, it's a tough one.
Now, would you do that? Would you do Shea for Trey Murphy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would too. Would you attach a pick to it?
Yes.
Yeah, I would too. Because that's kind of what I was hinting at when I said like trading for Mikal. As much as I like him as a player, it's just outside the timeline for us being for now and the future. You know what I mean?
But Trey Murphy is younger. Trey Murphy he's
Denny's age.
He's Denny's age. He's on a better contract.
Yes.
That's not ascending. I think it's just like $25 million a year for 4 years, which is awesome. He's got a little bit more of an offensive impact. Seems to be growing. He hasn't been put in really a great situation of winning. You don't know what that could look like. It feels like his ceiling is higher. So yeah, I think I would do that 1 pick. 2 picks depends on like kind of what those picks are. But we saw today that Jake Fisher and Mark Stein were reporting that because the Pelicans have tried to say that Trey Murphy's off the table, him and Herb Jones, but they did say through Fisher and Stein that Trey Murphy can be got with a Desmond Bane type offer. And that was what the Grizzlies gave up for Bane, or got back in return for Bane. What were 4 picks, maybe 3 picks in a swap, or 4 picks in a swap. We'll call it 4 picks, and bad money. They got like not Vince Williams, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and I think one other player to make it work that is escaping me at the moment. So that's what. Like, you got 4 picks and some bad money is what you gave up if you're the Magic. So I would feel that, like, a player like Shaden, who's good money, good future investment, is worth, like, a pick or 2, at least, depending on how you feel about him. And then you add in 2 first-round picks. Like, it feels like Shaden plus 2 picks would be that offer that people are saying. And if you threw a 3rd pick in there, I feel like if you're the Pelicans, you would be remiss not to take that offer, Shaden, and 3 first-round picks for Trey Murphy. It would be the Pelicans are dumb in a lot of ways, but I feel like they're not that dumb to not take that with where they're at right now.
Yeah, because I feel like Trey Murphy, when he's still, like you said, he's still not done growing as a player, which obviously neither is Shaden. But I feel like if we got Trey Murphy, we would be set with a guaranteed core. We would have the only question mark would be with Scoot, and it's like the perfect kind of middle ground of like if Dame's really good next year and Drew's really good still, you have a very, very good team and it's a long and big team because there's some question marks, with Trey Murphy's defense. But dude, you cannot tell me that a 6'8" Trey, isn't he 6'8"? Am I wrong about that?
I want to say like 6'7", but I don't really know
Yeah,
for
you're
sure.
putting that with Tumani, with Denny, with Klingon, like that is a long. He has a huge wingspan. That would be a long, big defensive lineup. It'd be like kind of like Rockets-esque.
Yeah.
And that with Dame and Drew coming back would be just incredible. Because Trey's already, we know for sure that he is a guaranteed high-level starter in this league.
Yeah.
Shea could definitely end up being that, but we don't know that for sure yet. It'd be trading Shea for a guarantee, very, very good player who I think, because to me, the biggest thing, it's why I'm okay trading Shea, is because I do not think Shea can play with Dame.
I was about to say that. I agree.
That's immediately, because again, I'm saying all this with the idea. I've talked myself into Dame being very good for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Which that's the exact opposite of what I thought a year ago.
Yeah.
Or when he tore his Achilles, I thought he's done. But now he's with the team. I'm like, he's gonna be an all-star. Maybe. Yeah. But Dame and Shea cannot start together. I mean, that's immediately the worst defensive backcourt in the NBA.
Yeah.
Starting defensive backcourt in the NBA, without a question. And I think Shea can play with Scoot. I would if Scoot lives up to his potential, but we don't know what Scoot's potential is right now because he hasn't played in a year.
Yeah, I think it's that there's a world, there's an infinity timeline where Shaden and where Scoot is a good enough defender where it works, but
yes, because it's like kind of barely working with Drew, who's the best point guard defender of the last 15 years.
Yeah,
it's working fine, but not championship level fine.
Yeah.
And with Trey Murphy, it's he can play with Dame and Drew, and he can also play with Scoot.
Yeah.
And it works. To me, it'd be hard giving up Shea for that, but I think it would be 1,000% worth it.
Yeah.
Okay, another one is Dalton Connect, a guy who I used to be I still am a fan of, demanded a trade from the Lakers today, from what I read.
I did read that on like a mega aggregator account. I don't know how I feel about that one.
I know, I saw that very quickly.
I don't think I want him anymore. I think I've given up on him.
I really still would.
Just because you think like his archetype is the perfect thing that we need, like a shoot first wing.
We need a guy who can shoot. We need a guy who can score. And I think he's obviously not a great defender, but I don't think he's as bad as people make. Like, he's not as bad as like Luke Kennard.
Sure. I can't say that I've watched a lot of Dalton Connect recently, and my experience of him is mostly still thinking of college. So I don't know if I could tell you I would give up really anyone besides like a doo-wop for Dalton Connect right now. Like, I love.
Agreed. I think that's all it would really take is like a doo-wop. You still wouldn't do Rob for him?
No. I think Rob has to be. Rob's value is high enough right now that it has to be for like a Rui. Like, it has to be for like an established good shooter, not a potential, like an in theory good shooter to me.
Dalton was really good before he was traded, and then
he got pissed. Yeah.
I really think I think it's a guy who really needs a fresh start. Sure. I still think Dalton's a guy who can be an elite scorer off the bench, elite, and an elite shooter. Because before that, dude, he was dropping 30-point games with 8 threes before he got his spirit crushed.
Yeah.
I still completely believe in him. I don't deny his obvious deficiencies.
Yeah.
But
a low chance flyer, why not? I can see
a doubt.
I
think he's a guy who
Yeah. I don't.
And I was big with him coming out of college. I thought he was like I saw him as Booker light. Yeah. And I still think he has the potential to be that. Either like he's like 30 already.
He is pretty old.
But
he doesn't have a lot to grow.
No, he's 24, I think. But I still really like him. I think to me in the NBA, he's the number one guy who could number one who could just needs a fresh start somewhere else.
Sure.
And I would trade Rob for him. I would.
That's a
because I think Rob's probably gone after this season, and he'd be very likely to sign with the Lakers. And so we might as well get Connect in return for him. And
Yeah.
especially after seeing Hansen play almost okay basketball against the backups of the worst team in the NBA, I want to see. And
Okay.
actually, but I mean that serious. I want to see Hansen sh- get more
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah.
This is still the time to do it. As much as I want us and think we will make a playoff push, I don't think the difference between that is really Rob versus Hansen. So
Yeah.
still would like to see Hansen get more minutes.
Sure. Well,
We got to see.
yeah. I think the if the people who flamed my idea of Rob for Rui saw your idea of Rob for Dalton Connect, they might, they might take you out back because
They would kill me.
there was people who were vehemently against trading Rob for like anything, first of all, but like for Rui, who was a 42% 3-point shooter, so doing it for Connect, I don't know. I don't know if the people would like that, but I see your point.
How do you feel about Jeremy?
Sohan.
Why can't I remember? Yeah,
Sohan.
is it? How do you pronounce his last name?
I think it's Sohan, not
So
Sohan.
yeah, I've watched so much of him, but I always forget that I'm such an idiot.
I
Gotta be
think
better at this
I think we've got enough. Like he's like a better city.
Yeah,
Like so I don't, and he wants a trade too because he's not doing anything. Yeah, I don't. He doesn't help any of our flaws. I guess. I mean, a defense.
I agree.
Yeah.
I know Mike Schmitz was big on him, and actually, I still would probably trade for him because watching last night's game, my goal for us is to not have to put out a guy, or just have every guy that we put out on the court be reliable.
Yeah.
And I love City, but he's had a really rough stretch of games that do serve a bit of a reminder that he is still like a little bit far off from being a genuine rotation guy.
Yeah.
I still think he will get there because he's 21 years old. But getting Jeremy, I think, would, like you said, be like getting a better City. And I think that'd be a really good addition to this team. It'd be because a better City, I think, would be awesome.
Sure.
And I don't think he'd go for much. And I think, like I was saying, it would just make sure that we never put out a guy that isn't completely playable at all times.
Yeah.
Even though he's not playing for the Spurs.
I know, that's kind of the thing. But maybe it's just because they're so deep that's why. So maybe a low chance flyer on him would be good too. Okay. So.
Can I look?
Brad, you can look now. You can look. Oh, my God. Daniel Gafford.
Oh, my God.
I have 4 mock trades for us to go through. And these all work. These are all done. Well, some of them are done in mind with the idea that we talked about, where we need to get rid of 2 players to make room for 1 with City and Caleb. I think you and I were kind of talking about this. There's maybe a chance where like putting City back in the G League for the rest of the year is worth it, so that we don't have to just flat out cut someone, and maybe we just let him try to develop his offensive game. So, but clearly for Caleb, I think we need for the rest of this season for
Agreed.
sure as we're going forward. So
and Repair is looking nasty.
I know. I think we can't cut Repair. We gotta let him see it out, right? So, so maybe we don't need 2 spots, but we definitely need 1. So with that in mind, these were some that I came up with. This first one is trading with the Mavericks for Daniel Gafford, who's been on the table. I think this is a little under what they would ask for, but the reasoning I do this, or this trade maybe works, is 1, they maybe want some extra cap space because the Mavericks have been known to want to move Gafford, and because they have Derek Lively, they have AD for better or for worse, right? They feel pretty good in their front court, I think. And we could give them Robert Williams, who they could retain if they want, for cheaper than Daniel Gafford, maybe. Daniel Gafford's on a pretty good contract, but they can also just let it go as expiring money and gain some more flexibility. They take on Duop Reith and probably cut him right away, or maybe just play him this year and see what it's like. And instead of a first-round pick, they get 3 second-round picks from us for 2027 when they don't have any draft capital, I don't think, so that helps them out. But what do you think about the reason I do that too is because we get our a deeper center rotation. But with the way Hansen's looking, I don't know.
I would unquestionably do that.
I guess
How much is
the question for
how
you
much is
is like,
Gafford?
do we?
I'm just trying to figure out why the Mavs would.
Yeah, it's kind of a stretch. The other one I was thinking in this spot, but it felt a little too bleh for us was like
But
get
if
a
dude, if
player.
we got Gafford, we'd immediately have the bet. He's basically a younger, more reliable Rob.
Yeah, totally.
Like we'd have the best center rotation in the league.
Yeah, I think it's like instead of having to play Gafford all the time, it's like Rob could be that backup like he is to Klingon for us for Lively, right?
Yeah,
For them if they want to retain him in that way, and maybe to like a shorter contract or something. They also get those picks. I think it's just a little much. I think we would if we made it a first round pick of ours. I think they would do it, no question.
and I think I still would do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a trade that I think the Mavs absolutely would do. I think I
yes,
would also do that. I think Gafford is so good that I would worry he would take
Klingons.
Klingon's starting spot.
Yeah,
Because I really like Gafford.
yeah,
But yes, that's an awesome trade. I think if you'd have to flip those seconds for a first, and I think they do it. I think I
yeah.
would do it
I
too.
think I'm just hoping that 3 kind of tickles their fancy because then they get to bring in
Yeah,
more
it might.
players.
They're a
Because
bunch of idiots
yeah,
over there, so you
yeah,
never know.
yeah. So that's the first one. But the main thing I want to bring up with that one is a concept of like moving Duop and Rob Will for one other center, and then establishing our center rotation for the future of being Klingon, Hansen, and the third center. Like I don't know if you like Isaiah Jackson was the one I was thinking of from the Pacers, who's on a
Yeah,
3-year, $21 million total contract. Like
yeah.
he could be our third string center. Just
Hmm.
like, do you want to give up Rob Will for that when he's playing well for us? I don't know. So
Yeah.
this one seemed a little more
Dude, my
enticing
camera really is
for the
shaking, isn't it?
Blazers.
God damn. I'm actually gonna move it.
So this was and I kind of the way I structured these was kind of a like a small, medium, large type deal, and then kind of like an extra large at the end. This would be the medium one, and again, I mean, like we all love Scoot. I want to see Scoot do well. I want to give him the chance. We are just loaded up at the basically point guard position.
Hmm.
We made the move for Dame where, he's going to be on this team. We made the move for Drew. We clearly believe in him to some extent in sort of a win now move. If we wanted to move Scoot, I think the Kings, who knows what the Kings ever do and if they ever do anything smart, but I think they could use a nice young point guard. And then if they had one, they could go along with a young wing, like a Debansa or Boozer in the draft, right? There's a lot of options there, but we can move him to the Kings. The Lakers get Keon Ellis, which I think they want. I think that's been reported. They get him on the cheap for this season, and they can probably sign him to an extension later if they like him. And then we get Rui, who's the shooter that I think everyone agrees that we need, even though people seem to hate Rui. I don't know if it's Denny fans that don't like him from Washington or something, but it seems like a lot of people don't like Rui for us.
Yeah, can we remind everyone that he's shooting 42% from three and is a good defender?
Yeah, he's the exact player that we need. I think people have said not good defender, and I don't
He's
really
a
know where
good
I land
defender.
on him.
He's not incredible, but he's fine. He's solid.
Yeah.
I would say no to that personally. I would say no. I don't think because as much point guard depth as we have point guard depth for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
We would still be at the spot. And like we said, it sucks, but we don't know what Scoot's potential still is. I liked him a lot of times last year, but again, we've not seen him play this year. I am the most reactive person of all time, and last night's repair game makes me think that he is a future defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
So it's tough. And also, I don't. You think the Lakers? I bet the Lakers probably would do that.
Yeah, I mean,
They probably would.
Yeah, Keon Ellis solves a lot of their problems.
Yeah.
And Rui isn't expiring, so is Keon Ellis. But
Yeah.
they also get the 2027 seconds. They could use some extra draft capital. We get a swap in it way down the line, so they're kind of hedging a little bit their future to think now while they have Luka, obviously. And we push our 2027 second chest that we have into some potential great a great Lakers swap. Who knows what happens in 2031? So we're getting that for Scoot and Repair. I do agree with you, and here's the thing: the silver lining I have with Scoot's injury, and I think I said this with Shaden before in this offseason, is that like, yes, no, I would never want this injury to have happened to him because I think he was gearing up for such an awesome year. And just like from a, you know, person standpoint, like I don't want him to be
Yeah.
injured like that. But pushing back his like talent one more year is a potentially great gamble for us because he's extension eligible after this year. And if we just extend him to like a Shaden type deal, and then he's like, I just had this injury, I don't know how good I'm gonna be, I'm gonna take my money now, and we're like, yeah, we'll give you like 10% of the salary cap, we'll give you like 18 million a year. Then he pops in the fourth year, then it looks awesome, and we have another young player on a great deal.
Yes.
To where if Scoot can just do that, it can work out all in that best way. So I agree. I think we could use that point guard depth at all times, as we've seen, and into the future when Dame and Drew do eventually get too old to play. So it's a big risk, but this would be like a push-in chips kind of for a win now move.
But it's an interesting trade, and one that people got mad about your Rory suggested trade. I want people to realize that a trade like this is very possible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like anything is. We should learn from the Luka trade. Anything is possible.
Yeah.
I don't want to see anyone be like, "Oh, that's a dumb trade."
Yeah.
It's like trades that happen in real life are always dumb. They're always dumb.
Yeah. They look dumb until
someone always gets screwed.
Yeah, anyone can say. I think a trade is a good mock trade if people on both sides think it's stupid.
Agreed.
I think that's a good way to go about
yes.
a mock trade. And I just think this is what, if a Scoot trade were to happen, if that's what the front office was thinking, if they want to push their chips in for a role player, I think this is what it would look like, and that Rui is the type of player we would target. Okay, so here's this one, because we said we would push off the Drew and Cat thing, or the Karl Anthony Towns thing. So I'll let you elaborate on your Cat with the Blazers fit. But based on the report that the Knicks would love to pair Drew in the backcourt with Brunson, and based on the way that they've been talking about Cat and the way that a lot of teams seem to feel about him, I don't think we would even have to go the Cat trade would have to be part of the Giannis deal. I think it could just be like, I think Drew and Rob, and then the filler is where you would discuss, but Drew and Rob for Cat is a two player for one player trade that I think at least can help them and help us. It's just whether or not you actually believe that, or who's going to end up being right. But if they really want Drew, those trade assets work.
I would say yes to this so unbelievably quickly, it would blow your mind. And I think if you were to put out a poll, I would say the majority of Blazer fans would not want Towns on the team.
I think that's true.
And to me, I think that is shocking. I almost feel bad for Anthony Towns. I feel like he's been made fun of to the point where people don't realize how good he really is.
Yeah.
I mean, let me ask you this. What are our two biggest deficiencies? What are our two biggest weaknesses as a team?
For sure, shooting.
Defensive rebounding.
Yeah. I would say turnovers, but
yeah, you're probably right. But two of the biggest, of the top three. Let's do that.
Yeah.
But shooting, and if we became a great defensive rebounding team, we'd be the best rebounding team in the NBA. That's where we still, outside, when Donovan's not in the game, we are like the worst defensive rebounding team in the league. So to me, those are our two biggest negatives. And this trade would get us the best shooting big man in the history of the NBA.
The self-proclaimed.
And it's true without a doubt.
Yeah.
And also a guy who's been top 3 in defensive rebounds for basically the entirety of his career.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's one of the best rebounders of all. He leads the league in rebounds. He's the best rebounder in the NBA. He's the best shooting big man in the NBA. Yet people, and I don't understand why, it's just because he talks funny.
To be honest, it's the defense, and it's maybe like a lack of trying or just a lack of not being able to be a great defender at the 5 spot. But it's,
we'd play him at the 4 in my eyes. We would be able basically be recreating what the Timberwolves did and what worked with the Timberwolves. People don't acknowledge that enough, is that they had the number one defense in the NBA with Towns playing power forward. That's my like big mark of how bad a defender really is that if you can, it's kind of how I felt about Ant last year. Is that, yeah, Ant was a bad defender, but we had the best defense in the league in the second half of the season. And in the best defensive lineup in the league, he was a point guard in. That doesn't mean he's a good defender. It doesn't mean Towns is a great defender, but it means that he's good enough to be a part of an elite defense. He's already proven that. And the Wolves did not trade him really because he like was a bad player. They traded him because of weird contract things.
Yeah, I think that is true. I think the two, and then the Knicks traded for him because they thought they would make him a lot better.
And he did last year.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. He hasn't been great this year, but neither is OG, neither is Bridges. The only guy in the Knicks who actually has been good has been Brunson because he's just like one of, those guys.
Yeah.
And so you can't really, I don't look at their current play on that Knicks team, which is kind of floundering and flopping. I don't really take any of those down years all that seriously because of that. But Towns at his best is a guy who's a 24 point, 12 rebound, 40% 3-point shooter.
Yeah.
So and he is a perfect guy to pair next to Klingon. A perfect guy to pair next to Klingon. We would immediately become a top 12 offense if we added Towns.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. It would become a lot bigger too.
Sure. So, okay. So Brad, definitely in agreement that Cat would make us better, fits well with this team. And I do totally see it. How much of, so this is the trade. This is how the contracts work. I mean, it makes total sense to me to move Rob Will with Drew as the other piece to make the contracts work to get back Cat because it's center for center, right? So say it's Drew, Rob Will, do up in or out, whatever. How much of the Bucks' future would you be willing to give up for Karl Anthony Towns? And let me say that this is the 2028 swap, the 2029 best of us, Boston, Milwaukee. I have the 2029 worst first in here because I think this trade I would say yes to, and then once we start adding, if we swap out anything else for that, then I start to get a little hesitant. But the two swaps, 28-30, the best and the worst first in 2029. How much of that are you willing to add to Drew and Rob to get Cat?
I think I would do one of the Bucks picks and one of ours. I think he's worth 2 first-round picks.
You would add our own pick.
Our own pick.
Okay, but I want it to be different than that because I think the Bucks, well, it's different with the Bucks because if they get rid of Cat, then it's hard to see the salaries work. However, I see it as like the Bucks probably want, or the Knicks probably want our Bucks assets so that they can get Giannis, right? So that's why I say those assets. So say they don't even want our picks. They just want those Bucks assets. How much of the Bucks' future do you give up?
That's tough. Just one of them.
Just one swap?
I think just one. Towns is, is he 30?
Yeah, something like that.
Or 29. 29. I think he's 30.
I think he's 30.
I don't think it'd be worth both of them. I do think it'd be worth one of them. I think he's still has 3 to 4 years left of really good basketball. It, again, absolutely maximizes Drew would be gone, Dame's time here. And as much as I really like Drew, I almost feel like Blazer fans are overrating him just not a lot, but like the slightest bit. Drew's like Towns and Drew are both great examples of how important reputation is.
Yeah.
Because Drew went 2 of 14 last night playing some just awful closeout defense, and no one cares.
I think some people were pretty upset at last night. I heard some people say that we can.
But he gets such a pass. You know what I mean?
He does get a pass for his championship pedigree.
Sure, I think most guys should get a pass for having one bad game, especially if you're someone who's as good as Drew. But sometimes I also am not sure if Drew's quite the guy that people think he is. He's one of the best point guard defenders of all time. But like Drew's also a well-known playoff dropper.
Yeah.
Even the championship season with the Bucks, Drew had so many bad games during that run. He went like 2 of 21 during a game 7.
Yeah. And he also like won the Celtics the title. in the
That is very
finals with the
true.
Mavs. So
He
I think
was
it's been hit or miss. But yeah, I agree with your point that like Cat is his image is tarnished by accounts like Brick Center on Twitter, right? I saw the
exactly.
play like where Russ was trying to he was trying to post up Russ and it didn't work. It's though you see all of those, and then with Drew, you never see the turnovers, but you always see the like, oh, Drew's awesome. So I
And my point
agree.
is not
I
that
agree
Drew
with you in
isn't
that.
awesome.
Sorry. Yeah, yeah. I agree with what you're
Drew is
saying.
awesome, but my point is so is Towns. My point is both players have things that you could point at, but for some reason only Towns gets it.
Yeah.
He gives me like LaMarcus flashbacks a bit. LaMarcus was better
Yeah.
than Towns, I think. Actually, kind of unquiet. LaMarcus is one of my all-time favorite players. But while LaMarcus was here, he got a lot of like soft allegations.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just because was shooting big men always get that. And yeah, Towns struggled. Here's the thing: the same stats, and I looked this up last night, that had Towns as one of the worst rim protectors in the NBA last season, have him at like league average for bigs this season.
Sure.
So I think like, and we wouldn't even be playing him like that. He would not be a rim protector. He's shown that he's a solid help defender, and that's all we would need him for.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's your argument, everyone. There's
Mhm.
there's the cat man himself, the
Yes, the
big
cat
fur
man.
defender.
I think did you get my joke yesterday when I said he would be perfect
Yeah, I
for the
did.
team?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, this is the last one. This is like the kind of gargantuan
Holy
extra
cow.
large trade. Let me just kind of walk you through it. So this is the Knicks getting both Drew and Giannis, which they have reportedly wanted, right? This is the Knicks.
Wow.
This is the Knicks getting like everything they want. This is us surrendering everything of the Milwaukee future besides that 2029 best pick. I think that 2029 best of the three pick is like an unbelievable asset that we should just never give up. That's in like the Denny category of assets for me that we were talking about earlier. But so it's everything but that. It's the two swaps, a couple of seconds. We give up Jeremy, Shaden, Drew, Rob Will on our end. Drew goes to the Knicks. The other three go to the Bucks. Cat goes to the Bucks. So now the Bucks have like Cat, Jeremy, Shaden, Ryan Rollins, Kevin Porter. They still have Bobby Portis, Kyle Kuzma. They have like whatever the pieces they had left. They're only giving up Giannis, Anthonassis, and Miles Turner. We get
And Bobby Portis.
Oh, they are giving Bob. We get Bobby Portis.
Yeah.
Sorry. But they keep a lot of the stuff they have. They're giving up Giannis, Miles Turner, Bobby Portis for Cat, Jeremy, Rob Will in their front court. They get to add Shaden. They get a lot of their draft assets back. And then we get OG from the Knicks. So the Knicks are giving up Cat and OG for Drew and Giannis. And then we get Miles Turner as like the Cat, like you were just describing, but it's just Miles Turner. And then we get Bobby Portis as a little bit more front court help to shore up what would be like Jeremy and Rob Will. So now then our team is like Dame, Scoot, OG, it'd probably be like Dame, OG, Denny, Tumani, Klingon with Miles Turner, Bobby Portis, Matisse, Scoot, and then whoever else is left off the bench. So we get like our stretch big. We get like, I mean, you brought up OG earlier, and I don't think he's actually on the trade block, but I think if we're going to do anything with the Knicks, we want to take OG and not McHale. That's how I totally feel. And I think you agree. And then Bobby Portis is the best three-point shooter in the NBA this season. I don't think people realize. So that shores up our shooting woes. So I think this makes us a lot better. We got to give up Shaden. I think Jeremy's a pretty like kind of neutral asset to move with his contract. Rob Will is expiring. We give out the Milwaukee swaps, but I think they stay pretty all right with this trade.
Mm-hmm.
Cat, Shaden, Ryan Rollins is something to build around, and you get your future back.
Absolutely.
And it's like you probably can't tank if you do this at the trade deadline, but if you get your number 3 pick in the draft because you tanked all this year, and then you do this in the off season, you add Darren Peterson to all that. It looks pretty fun, right?
It looks pretty fun, dude. This is a wild trade. This is wild. I mean, there's some like, to me, it's an obvious yes. I mean, without a doubt, yes.
I think the Knicks, if anyone, get kind of fleeced the most here because they lose. I don't even know if that's true because you're swapping just two of their players for Giannis and Drew. So I don't even think
Drew.
that's true.
I think that's an up. It is a upgrade for us and the Knicks, and the Bucks get a super young talent and then all their picks back. Or sorry, is that all of them? Two of them?
That's two of the three. I mean, we could probably throw
Two
in
of the
like
three.
the worst
Oh,
of the
sorry, yeah,
2029. We could throw in our own picks. Like we
yeah.
can sweeten this pot to make it okay for the Bucks if we need to make it go through. The Knicks can't really give up much more. But like if you think the Blazers come out as the biggest winners of this trade and the Bucks the losers, we can even it for sure.
OG is a guy who is he gets the that level of player that I don't know if Shaden will ever be as good as. And I think we're going to take as a slight towards Shaden. OG is so good.
He's so good defensively.
He's
so
easily
good
one of the
defensively.
best defenders in the NBA, without a doubt, and he can give you 20 points a game. That's not Shaden could end up being great. I think at best Shaden is as good as OG, just in a different way. Miles Turner, who I really like, I would be confused about the fit on the team. Like, would he start over DC?
No, I think he could. I think he would.
I don't think he will want to come off the bench.
No, I think, but in the same way, you don't think Miles Turner could play the 4 in the same way that Cat could?
Oh, good question. Yeah, he probably could.
I think that's
But then
possible.
what would the lineup look like?
I think he would definitely have to sometimes come off the bench,
Sure.
and maybe that's not what he signed up for. But you know,
It would be incredible.
He's getting out of the Milwaukee situation that he took his bag, went to Milwaukee, and it's all kind of blowing up in his face. I don't think he has much of a right to be like, I don't want to. I can't.
Sure.
I can't come off the bench.
He did his because that's what I was looking up on my phone while you were talking. I was like, he's 29. He's actually only playing 28 minutes a game.
Yeah.
He could probably still get 28 minutes a game on the Blazers.
What he definitely does for us is diversify our center position, which is exactly what you were saying. What we need, like I think you were suggesting, Catwood and Klingon would always be 4-5, which I think is probably how they would start. But there would be a ton of time where Cat would play the 5, and there would be a ton of time where Turner would play the 5. So I think.
And then Bobby Portis, I love Bobby Portis.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like immediately, like you said, would solve our shooting, not solve, but like
really
heavily help our shooting woes, and is already shown that he can be an incredibly important bench scoring option on a championship team.
Yeah.
Bobby Portis is the man. And we'd give up Drew, who, as much as we love, like, we kind of already have next year Dame as the old point guard.
Yeah.
The part that like hurts me is doing that to Jeremy.
Yeah.
Like, that's the part that I'm like, gosh, dude, Jeremy's like been with this. Obviously, we gave him loads of money, so I don't feel that bad for him. But he's still like, played hard for this team for years while clearly wanting to be traded.
Yeah.
And to finally trade him to a Bucks team that's looking to tank would be, but also not. I don't know how much it would really be looking to tank. Like you said, that's a solid core.
I mean, it would just kind of suck to go to the Milwaukee team that's like having to restart, and it, with how this looks, it'd be like kind of a 2 timelines situation, and he would be the old guy. But that's kind of what he's like for us, And I think that with
this is a good trade, dude.
I
like
it the more
all 3 teams.
I was just like throwing pieces around to make something work where the Knicks got Giannis and Drew, and I ended up on this, and I feel like pretty great about it.
I feel fantastic about it.
Like,
honestly,
I like it for like everyone. Like if you're the
sorry, go.
I was just say like I think it's the Bucks ultimately who don't get everything that they want, but like I mean, throw in a Blazers first and a Blazers swap. You know what I mean? Like, and then we still have.
That's what I was gonna say. Could we not trade the Orlando pick?
We could trade the Orlando pick. Like, we can sweeten the deal for the Bucks, and then at the end of the day, like the Knicks get Giannis and Drew. I think they have, and they don't sacrifice any depth that they have at this moment, because maybe in the wing. But like you're trading Giannis for Cat straight up, and like you're just sacking OG Anunoby, but you get Drew, who's kind of a wing defender. Like, you get Giannis. Like, the Knicks get Giannis. We get a players that fit us well. We get a lot bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. And the Bucks get like, because like, look, the Bucks can't. The Bucks 2027 pick, I think, is also on the way out the door, as well to the Pelicans. I think so.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have incentive to tank next year unless they get that back. So yeah, I think I like this a lot for everyone.
I love it. I'm blown away by this one. I think it truly works for all three teams.
Yeah. Well,
Oh
we'll
my gosh, dude. Can you imagine?
I just think
Uh,
like a Dame, OG, Tumani, Denny, Klingon starting five is it like it tickles me. It
oh, it's
truly tickles me.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And Dame loves OG, so he would be stoked about that as well.
Yeah. So those are the mock trades I have. Let us know in the comments what you think of those. And hopefully hopefully for my like I just like the NBA mind, the Blazers do something at the trade deadline. I don't know if they will, but
Yeah.
it would be fun. All right, well, those are our trade deadline discussions as it pertains to the Blazers. Again, let us know in the comments what players you want us to go get. If you have any mock trades, we would love to read them. Let us know who you think is untouchable, who's maybe should be traded on this team. We'd love to hear that too. That's the beauty of the NBA trade deadline, is that really anything is possible. Nico Harrison made that true last year.
Yes.
That literally anything is possible. So dream big.
We'll never feel a high like that ever again, though.
Oh no, I don't think so. That was.
He's kind of
truly
made
something.
every trade after that be like,
Yeah. He literally ruined trades. No one's trading this trade deadline so far.
I know.
So
I know.
So we'll see. I mean, the Blazers, I think, will be pretty square in the middle of what is going on with the Giannis thing. So everybody stay tuned. Everybody stay warm. Everyone keep watching the Blazers. Hopefully we turn things around and beat the Knicks. Maybe we can beat Karl Anthony Towns out of the Knicks. Or
Yes,
OG
we beat him so bad that like we'll KD it. But,
yeah,
like we have to come to the
we have
Blazers.
to get rid of him. So we appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching this entire longer version of the Blazers Are Cool show. We will see you next time, probably maybe on the other side of the trade deadline. We'll see.
Yeah.
Take it easy.